justice. Welcome to all of you on the live stream and in person. We're pleased to have guests with us in this room and participating virtually. I encourage you to reach out to our Director of Member Relations, Kelly Green. Her email is on the screen. We have large print orders of service, personal hearing, assistance devices, and an elevator available. There's also a hearing loop in our alternate worship space downstairs in the Bernstein room. We have coloring pages and fidgets for all ages in the vestibule, if that is useful to you or your children. I have just a couple of additional announcements. Today, following the service, we'll have our first of monthly theme discussions in the sanctuary. You may join us at 11:30. A reminder that UUCC offices are closed tomorrow for Labor Day. Again, a warm welcome to each and every one of you. Whether you are here in person or joining via live stream, whether today is your first or your 1000th Sunday in our midst, we are stronger because you are with us. We are one people of many beliefs, origins, identities, and genders. We are all growing, all learning, all loved. It is good to be together.
My Thank you and welcome, George Washington III. Thank you for joining us this morning. And good morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to this time of contemplation, this time of becoming, of returning again to the home of your soul. The beginning of a new month means a new theme for exploration and learning, and not only during this time of worship, but in lifespan religious education, all the work that we do in this congregation and our community. The theme for September is cultivation. And this is deeply connected to our year-long theme and exploration of home. Cultivation is very fitting for this day in particular, with Labor Day upon us tomorrow. Labor is all about cultivation, planting, watching, growing, and waiting. And all labor is indeed worthy and so, so valuable. So this morning, we light our chalice in the spirit of cultivation. We light our chalice as we continue to water our garden in holy anticipation for the hope that springs eternal. And in this community, we are the garden and the gardeners. We are the water and the very soil. And any gardener out there knows that what every plant needs is a little bit of love. Here in a few moments, we're going to sing our opening hymn, but before that, I'm going to invite you to rise in body or spirit as you were so moved, and turn and greet your neighbor however you feel so moved. And after, please remain risen in body or spirit for our opening hymn, Gather the Spirit. Please rise and come, let us worship together.
My reading this morning is a poem by David White, The Well. But the miracle had come simply from allowing yourself to know that this time you had found it. That some now familiar stranger appearing from far inside you had decided not to walk past it anymore. That the miracle had come in the kneeling to drink and the prayer you said and the tears you shed. And the memories you held and the realization that in this silence, you no longer had to keep your eyes and ears averted from the place that could save you. That you had the strength at last to let go of that thirsty, unhappy, dust-laden pilgrim self that brought you here, walking with her bent back, her bowed head, and her careful explanations. No, the miracle had already happened before you stood up, before you shook off the dust and walked along the road beyond the well, out of the desert and on toward the mountain, as if home again, as if you deserved to have everything you had loved all along, as if just remembering the first fresh taste of that clear and cool spring could lift up your face to the morning light and set you free. As if home again, as if you deserve to have everything you had loved all along. It is good to be home on this Labor Day weekend. I especially want to honor the hard work that many of you continue to do over these past couple of years. It's not lost on me that you're the reason we have this safe, open, welcoming space to return to. One of the things I enjoy about these reflections is that we get to know each other a little better. So let's start with this. Did you know that Reverend Amanda and I were born in the same hospital in Oak Ridge, Tennessee? She just a few years after me. And that I was raised in the Oak Ridge Unitarian Church, where she found her home. As I recall, that was the only place my family could be on a Sunday morning, as my father modeled commitment to something bigger than ourselves. As 8th graders, my class was entrusted with a whole service. I led this serious venture, and without a sermon, it may have run a little short. But I remember the adults truly appreciated hearing our young but wise voices. I moved to Charlotte after college, and at age 23, I was probably one of the youngest members here. I'm sorry to say, I don't remember trying to connect with older members. I mean, what did I have to learn from them? Over time, I was entrusted with roles serving in religious education, the board, search teams. They actually let me sing solos in our annual Follies productions, and more than once. It's hard to imagine now. My last role was as a staff member, and it was probably the best job of my life, as I finally learned that it's not just about getting the job done. It's that we're all learning together, that we all have something to offer, that it's important to step back and listen to each other's stories, that this is all spiritual work. A few weeks ago, I decided I need to stick my toes back in the water again as a member. I attended the leadership workshop here as we prepared for the arrival of Reverend Amanda. I looked around the room and was aware of both the familiar older faces and new younger faces. To be honest, I was a little awestruck by the fresh, strong voices. I have obviously witnessed a lot of changes here over the years, and I'm okay with that. It's so easy for me to put love at the center of our shared values. That's where it's been for me for a very long time. Now I only wonder what new lessons lie ahead for me, for all of us. I chose the reading of the well because it speaks to deep connections in this place we call home. It speaks to new beginnings and invites us to be in this life together through the joyful and the difficult times. David White explains, drinking from the well, we go through a metamorphosis. Our outer complexion starts to disintegrate and fall away, and another younger inner complexion emerges as we take the first breaths of our new life. May it be so. Please rise in body or spirit as we join in singing Just as Long as I Have Breath, number 6 in the gray hymnal.
Interesting thing to be a Unitarian Universalist. And it's even more of a challenging thing to describe what that means. This is especially true when you move somewhere new. I get this all the time. So why did you move here? For a job. And I'm hoping that'll just be it, and they'll just move on. But every time, oh, so what do you do for a living? I'm an ordained minister. And I see them do the scan of me, right? You know, they see the facial piercings and the tattoos that are usually more visible than when I'm here. And I can see that the preconceived notions and stereotypes about what a religious person is and what a minister is, it just somehow ain't adding up in their head. And I don't hold it against them. I honestly don't take offense because I don't actually fit the stereotypes of a religious person, let alone a clergy person. So I don't take offense, but I often do try to qualify it. Well, I'm not a Christian. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I'm a humanist. And there's confusion at humanist. Well, actually, technically, I'm a spiritual humanist. Confusion intensifies. Well, you know, I go on to say something to explain it further. Well, you know, we have a history in Christianity, but it's long ago in our past. And even back then, we were kind of shunned because we threw away the idea of the Trinity, and that's where Unitarian comes from. And then there were Universalists, and there was a merger back in the day, and I can tell I've lost that. So I bring it back. Well, we're non-creedal. What does that mean? Well, it means we have different faiths, and not everybody believes the same thing. And while some people say we don't all have to believe the same thing, or some people say you can believe any old thing, that's not completely true, but it's not true either. It's complicated. We have a covenant. Not one that you sign in blood or anything, don't worry. You don't even have to sign it. In fact, different churches or communities or congregations or parishes or fellowships or societies or first, second, or third societies, we all have like a shared covenant, and sometimes you can have multiple covenants in any given community depending on how many groups there are. Again, it's complicated. And then we have this overarching kind of association, and some things have changed, but nothing's changed at the heart of who we are, but the goal is change within tradition. It's a living tradition. We love the phrase living tradition. Never mind. Just go look it up. Just go look it up. Go to UUA.org and look at, what is the UUA? Okay, never mind. Wikipedia. Just go to Wikipedia, Google it. It's a mouthful to qualify it. And I used to do that kind of stuff all the time. I used to go through this whole litany of what we are and what we aren't, and trying to explain kind of insider baseball to folks, but I don't really do that anymore. These days when someone asks me what I do for a living, I just kind of own it. I'm an ordained UU minister, and I let them figure out for themselves. And it's still kind of fun to watch all of the wheels spin in their head and the preconceived notions kind of explode, because that's another fun part of being a UU, right? Like, just kind of confusing people. And also, who has time for all of that? Lady, this is a Harris Teeter. There are 26 of these on this block. It is 100 degrees outside. Please just let me get my expensive salad and move on. Who has time for all of that? Well, we have time for all of that today. Here in a few minutes, I'm going to invite you to turn and share with a neighbor or someone close to you your best shot at a UU elevator speech. Now, you might have done this before in other UU spaces. You might have even done that in this space, but please just indulge me. And let's try that again. And don't worry, if you're new to Unitarian Universalism or you're new to the whole thing, just give it your best shot as to what you think that we're all about. And if you're an introvert like me, and you did not come here wanting to talk to anybody this morning, that is totally fine. Just pull out your notes app, look busy, stick to yourself, mind your own, whatever. We're not going to hold you to anything. But I want to invite you to share with each other your best UU elevator speech. We're going to take 6 minutes, pair up, three minutes each, okay? That's long enough, I think. Not too long. So 3 minutes each between two people. We're gonna take 6 minutes. Let's just give it a shot. We're gonna ding ourselves back in, so let's go. do better than me? Perhaps more succinct, more to the point. Or maybe you talked about what brought you here. Maybe you talked about something that you liked when you were growing up in this faith, or something that you look forward to. But either way, our complexity, it's a blessing and a burden. I find that when I'm really stuck with this whole thing, if someone wants to go deeper, that I end up talking about what we do. And I find it so much easier to describe who we are when I talk about our labor in this world. Whether it be our work in voters' rights, our partnerships with local, national, and international organizations, or the way that the majority of our congregations split the offering with community orgs. Whether it be our commitment to climate justice or interfaith dialogue, or that so many of our congregations and churches had a hand in desegregating their communities decades and decades ago. Whether it be through the integrated schools that they housed or founded, like our very own Open Door School, or through individual members who were directly involved in that stage of civil rights. When we talk about the work of Unitarian Universalism, our values tend to speak for themselves. That's the power of labor. That's the value of labor. It puts our words into action, and it helps shape our shared faith. Because when it is so broad and is so amorphous, it's hard to hold on to. It's hard to embody. And one of the central things we do as human beings, and definitely as people of faith, is create and find meaning in this sometimes oversaturated world. Last week, we spent a lot of time talking about home and thinking of these considerations from the Hopi elder. Where is our water? Who are our people? What is our community? And these considerations, they weren't just for contemplation, they weren't just cognitive exercises, but they are pointing us toward action. The elder, in so many words, was asking us, what is the shape of our community? What is the shape of our faith? And how are we holding to it? One of my favorite hymns, and one of the most widely known UU hymns, Spirit of Life. Interestingly, the author, Carolyn McDade, she isn't a UU, by the way, she said that Spirit of Life was never meant to be a hymn. She describes it as a love song to social movements. In fact, the genesis of that song, as she tells it, was born from her own exhaustion in movement spaces, feeling weary of the world around her. She tells the story of getting home after an organizing meeting and confessing to a friend that she felt like an old piece of cardboard ready to turn to dust in the wind. She describes this song as more of a prayer, more of a longing. And as beautiful and soothing as it is, I also find it to be more of an active song rather than a passive one. Sing in my heart, blow in the wind, rise in the sea. Spirit of Life, the song says, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. The shape of justice. Her love song to social movements that capture so well the spirit of what it is that we come here together to do. Yes, our labor shapes us. It tells a story about us, and it helps us tell our story to the world. But what is the story we tell ourselves about our own labor? Perhaps our labor that goes unseen, unheard, or that is routine, or that is individual, not the grandiose labor that gets accolades or credit, but the labor that is known maybe by only a few, maybe only by yourself. And I want to invite you into another thought experiment. This time we won't share, don't worry. But I want you to reflect on a piece of meaningful labor in your life. And this can be anything. Working in the garden, raising children, cooking, something past or present, paid or unpaid, something that you worked really hard for or that you are working really hard on. And now that you have that in your mind's eye, I want to ask you a few questions. And feel free to root into the space and even close your eyes and just really consider these things. What values come to the surface for you? What are the struggles of this work? Where is the joy in this work? And what emerged or is emerging for you still that you didn't expect? How has this labor shaped you? I thought of my time as a social worker working in rural Tennessee in my 20s. I was a community-based mental health case manager, and me and my little Toyota Corolla would get lost all throughout the hills of East Tennessee. This was before GPS was on all of our phones. So yeah, I was lost all the time in the backwoods, and I worked in underserved rural communities. Many of my clients didn't look like me, they didn't think like me, they didn't believe like me, and I was often going to homes with massive rebel flags in the front yard, people who, in any other case, would probably pass each other on the street, maybe not even look at each other or talk to each other, but there I would be weekly in their home or at their school or advocating on their behalf in court. And I found that although my job was to be their case manager and all that that entails, my labor, my work within the work was to connect with them, to see them in their full humanity, regardless of our differences, to hold them with care and respect and concern when they'd been failed by so many institutions, sometimes even their own families. But what emerged, the true blessing of it, wasn't just that I was able to connect with them. It was that they were able to connect with me, and therefore to connect with themselves, to see their own humanity, their own dignity and worthiness. And for me to treat my client with respect and dignity, it opened up a portal between us that superseded ideology, that swallowed up who was right and who was wrong, that was beyond identity, deeper than difference, and that made space for this person to come home to themselves. And that labor led me directly to ministry. So as you think about your story, and I share with you mine, what we're doing here is having a very true and deep theological conversation. We're using our own direct experience to make meaning in our lives, to look at the work within the work. And when we gather here on Sunday mornings, it's not for the sake of entertainment or to reinforce our own greatness, and hopefully not just out of habit. When we come together for our team meetings or rehearsals or special events, when we gather as a community in any form to do this labor, what are we really doing? What is our purpose? What are we cultivating? Because we could be doing this any old place, and we can be anywhere else but here, but we've chosen to be here freely. On the Free Faith, the UU theologian and social activist James Luther Adams tells us that church is a place where we get to practice what it means to be human. I've always loved that, practice what it means to be human. And I see it as a place where our souls get to dance, where we collide and conflict, where we pull back and move forward and fail and try again, a place that expands with us, a place where we get to experiment and learn and grow and thrive, and a place where our labor is valued. And that makes me a little less concerned with the words that we use to describe who we are, because what we do gives us so much more shape than a word ever could. But let me tackle this elevator speech one last time. As Unitarian Universalists, we find value and truth in a wide range of beliefs and traditions, whether they be religious or non-religious, spiritual, earth-based, or reason-based. Rather than hold to one theological belief, we affirm many paths on the journey toward wholeness. And we covenant with one another as a way to navigate our time together while we do this work of love and justice for ourselves, our communities, and our wider global village, always keeping love at the center. Now, whether I'll remember that at Harris Teeter next week, who knows, but it works for now. So we'll end with this abbreviated reading from Reverend Dana Worsnop. Often people say that they love coming to a place with so many like-minded people, and I know just what they're getting at, and I know that they quite aren't getting it right. I don't want to be with a bunch of people who think just like me. I want to be involved in a beloved community where I don't have to think like everyone else to be loved, to be eligible for salvation. I want to be with people who value compassion, justice, love, and truth. Though they have different thoughts and opinions about all sorts of things, I want to be with people who see me in my goodness and dignity, who also see my failings and foibles, and who still love me. I want to be with people who feel their interconnection with all existence, people who see life as a paradox and don't always rush to resolve it, people who inspire one another to follow the call of the Spirit. I want to be with people who give of themselves, who share their hearts and minds and gifts. I want to be with people who know that human community is often warm and generous, sometimes challenging, and almost always a grand adventure. In short, I want to be with people like all of you. May it be so. Ashe.
We are grateful to our members who pledge their generous financial support and make regular contributions to sustain the work of our congregation. The September Share the Plate recipient is Open Door School. Along with sharing space here at the UUCC, Open Door School has been offering progressive and creative preschool curricula since 1966. Our Share the Plate contributions will help them provide scholarships. While the offering is collected, You are invited to come forward and light a candle honoring a milestone, concern, or celebration.
We do indeed contain multitudes. When we gather here each week, we come with our gifts of blessings and burdens, joys and sorrows. We come with so much in our hearts and our lives, and we don't come with the idea of perfection or the need to figure it all out, or that we need to set everything aside for the sake of reverence, but we come together knowing that we can expand to hold it all. This morning, we lift our hearts to Janet Zick as she mourns and celebrates what she calls a joyful passing. Her beloved mother passed on to the other side earlier this week, just 6 weeks shy of her 100th birthday. A life well lived is a blessing indeed. Janet welcomes condolences in any form at this time and will keep us posted about the upcoming arrangements. And now please join me in a moment of silence as we honor all of the concerns and joys in our lives, the ones shared and the ones held only in our hearts. I now invite you into a time of stillness, of rootedness, of contemplation, and of prayer. Perhaps lowering your gaze or closing your eyes altogether. Spirit of life, Spirit of love, we call that presence into this space beyond these four walls and into our hearts this morning. We come with so much gratitude for the labor that we all bring into this space, the labor that nobody sees in our hearts, the work it takes sometimes just to get up in the morning, the work it takes sometimes just to face another day. We come with gratitude for the blessing and the burden of our faith, which at times challenging, but at others just holds us with so much strength and so much wisdom as we abide in this mystery, Spirit of life. We come with gratitude for this day, with gratitude for our loved ones, the ones with us and the ones no longer here, knowing that we carry their spirit through our lives, knowing that they live through us. We come in gratitude for another chance to gather in our free faith as free people of conscience. What a gift and a blessing it is to be proud and tall in what it is that we value in this world. Our hearts lift up to those who aren't here this morning, whether they be watching online later, kept away from illness, because of contagion, those who can't be in the space we yearn to be. We reach out our hands and our hearts to all of those connected to the work and the life of this community. No matter how full or heavy the load is, our hearts seem to grow. There's always enough candles. There's always more light. There's always more love somewhere. There's always more love right here. On this day and on each day, we lift our hearts and we say, blessed be, amen, and Ashe. I now invite you to rise in body or spirit for our closing hymn, Blue Boat Home. The lyrics are on the screen. Please join me in extinguishing the chalice with this gratitude for our time together, from the shaping of this container to your presence and our wonderful musician this morning. We extinguish this chalice, flame of light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together.